Hi there, and welcome to episode 109 of the ADHD Adults podcast. I'm James Brown, tireless campaigner for the Less Alex campaign. And as usual, I'm joined by scrotal-faced woodpecker enthusiast Dr. Alex Connor and woodpecker-faced scrotum enthusiast Mrs ADHD. Alex, hi.
Have you ever Googled a woodpecker's tongue?
Oh, you fucking tell us this every week, Alex. Are you just repeating the same shit every week?
I-
Yes, it wraps its tongue around its head to absorb the blows when it hits the tree.
Around its head. I haven't actually, Alex, because I'm scared I'll find your sex tape if I do.
This isn't about the bird thing. This is a sex position.
That's the
Unrelated.
reason I haven't Googled it. Sam, hi.
Hi.
Short and sweet as always.
Oh, well, that was short. A reminder then that we started the podcast because the BBC asked us to infiltrate vulnerable patient groups. They did it. We've got time for a second episode a week now because they're just doing it for themselves on their own Pudsey Bear Mental Health Awareness Week. That's the week they chose to do it. We're so tired of justifying ourselves, ADHD people. And yes, we've tried mindfulness, we've tried planners, and we've tried turmeric.
Brilliant. Right then, anyway, this person who starts a sentence with, I mean, I'm not racist, but of a podcast is also a tragedy in 3 parts. And we'll discuss how the week between podcasts has been. Not great. From our perspective as people with ADHD and people involved in the community, and we'll answer some of your questions, so remember to send them in on Discord or by the socials, and we'll talk a bit more about this week's podcast theme, which I've already forgotten, to be honest, so my reflections will be good. As always, I'll ask how your week was. Nobody will ask me, or actually Sam will, because she forgets the joke. So, Sam, God, this is going to be long. How was your week?
Oh.
I'm busy. I'm really busy. I feel like I'm suffocating. I'm not getting anywhere near as much done as I need to every day for work, for the charity, keeping in touch with friends and stuff. Yeah, I'm knackered. There's just not enough hours in the day, but I'm so grateful that I've got Rose and Sarah and Laura helping out, because I don't know how I'd cope without them. I had my nephew's 2nd birthday this week, which was wonderful, but my car is broken, so I'm worried about them. But York was lovely. Oh, and I went to the venue in Leeds where I'm doing my talk, so I got really excited about that, and now I've come away, I'm just terrified again because James, go on.
No.
No.
Yeah,
this was really aimed at Alex in that he didn't call your talk a little talk, whereas my talk's a little talks, but obviously yours are just talks, it seems.
Sam's going to be sharing lived experience from the perspective of someone growing up with ADHD, undiagnosed, untreated.
as opposed to your shit, James.
Yeah, do you know the mental strength one needs to develop that without any treatment or support? It's not one of your little talks, James. This is serious stuff.
How, the one in that sentence, how much of that was because it was grammatically correct, and how much was because you knew I'd notice?
Yeah, absolutely 3,000,000%.
This is what anybody that doesn't listen. Anybody that listens or watches on YouTube, you might pick up on this, that Alex literally spends time every day thinking of things that annoy me, and even doing things when I'm not there because he knows it would annoy me. And yet I'm the monster.
True.
You are a monster.
You are a monster, yeah.
Yeah. So remember not.
Oh yeah, James. How about you?
Oh, for God's sake! No.
Again,
Jesus, again.
It's only one.
James
only got one joke, James. We don't ask you how you. Yeah. That's it. That's all she has to remember.
But she'd rather blow it up as the joke IED she is. Yeah, my week, fucking Panorama. Basically, not just my week. Obviously, several weeks now. This has been in preparation and response, and I think it's difficult actually being with Sam and seeing how busy she is, because Sam, there's a hierarchy of kind of not putting ourselves first in this group. Alex is quite good at protecting himself. I'm not as good, and Sam is completely fucking useless at doing it, and therefore will I can't. If you're not watching on YouTube, the reason that I'm pausing is because Mrs ADHD is spinning around like a top and grinning like,
and it is.
I don't know,
partly hyperactivity, isn't it? But it's partly just to piss you off, which I.
It is.
I mean, look, it feels really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just let her finish.
Sorry.
It's okay, mate. It's okay.
Carry on.
Alex will call me ableist if I comment on the fact that you're being hyperactive.
I will.
Yeah, So seeing Sam do all of that stuff while I've been dealing a lot with my own day job, which has been difficult post Panorama, and obviously lots of stuff on social media, reading the stories of people, people who've had their shed care cancelled, people whose family members have texted them saying, see, told you didn't have ADHD, people whose partners have said to them, because they've got an upcoming assessment with one of the private clinics, featured saying, yes, he told you, just looking for an excuse for your laziness,
I
etc.
don't know why Sam said that to you, James. That was out of order.
He's an absolute cunt, that's why. And he hasn't got ADHD, he's just a lazy fucker.
In his specific case. Yeah. Normally, I wouldn't agree.
Well, I don't have the inattentive symptoms at all.
No, you don't.
What?
No.
You think you don't, yeah?
Anyway,
whilst medicated and forgetting.
Anyway, Alex, your week.
Yeah, fucking Panorama, innit? Oh my word. Trying to defend myself from what can only be attacks from within my own community that maybe we use different words for trauma, and that's perfectly okay. But I probably should have mentioned that last episode. Not so much attacks as reasonable comments. But yeah, the Panorama thing's gone. Trying to keep up, and I think this thing that we all feel of we're never doing enough, and it's a race to the bottom. And even I, James, with how you say self-care, what I call massive laziness. I was breaking this week. I was breaking, and I couldn't. I felt like I couldn't breathe as well. And
God, did you have more than 2 messages to answer a day?
That's hurtful.
How many murders did you manage?
No murders. 3 messages.
Oh my God.
All of which time I had to reply thanks to. Lovely. Oh man. No, I'm even sending people papers because they need this evidence and people need stuff, and that there's quite a lot of. I like
my
science.
God, you're even sending people papers.
Yeah.
This
Do you want to
this
swap
is
that
borderline.
job? No.
Yeah, this is borderline bullying now, Samantha. You need to reel your neck in, mate.
Yeah, it is.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, next question.
Yeah. Alex?
Oh man, as always. Oh, thank you, Sam. Yes, I know. It's good. As always, we ask if you had time this week. Answering Panorama-based trauma, I think is the answer. What stupid thing have you been doing instead of what you were supposed to be doing this week? Or Sam, just answer. What have you been doing this week? James, start with you.
Interestingly, and I think this is probably ADHD related, so in terms of overwhelm, I've been hiding away from messages. It got to the point because of Panorama, I was having to do so much that I let the various, I've talked about this before, the various different platforms that people message on, let the messages build up to the point where I just couldn't. When you've got in one inbox 80 messages and 60 in another and 100 in another, I can't. So I had to do the delete and reset, and got some lovely feedback from people saying kind of, well done. This is what people should do. If you get to a point where you're struggling, rather than push through it, just say to everyone, listen, I'm sorry, I've had to mark all as unread or delete. Please contact me again. And someone even said, you shouldn't even say that, James, which is probably true.
You don't have to say it, James, but the fact that you did is genuinely incredibly powerful communication for the community.
Yeah.
And whilst I wouldn't tell other people without your level of social power to do that,
I
think the fact that you did is really, really good. I know I've come out of character again for a second.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
That's
No,
really
I know,
good.
and that's something I wish we could teach you. But the self-loathing and feeling like a failure because I couldn't do that, and because in general, I'm going to give Sam a compliment now because people think I'm mean to her. Yeah, I know. Sam,
God, please don't.
Sam underestimates her functionality. So stop it, Samantha. She can work throughout the day on multiple jobs effectively. Look at her, she can't take it. But for hours and still be going at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Whereas when it gets to 3 p.m., my brain turns to jelly and I can't do anything. even if I split my dose, sometimes, by certainly 4 or 5, the thought of answering messages or doing stuff for the charity, I can't do it. And I watch Sam being able to do it whilst thinking she's shit, and think that's incredible that she can't see what we all see. Anyway, Sam, what stupid thing have you been doing instead of what you were supposed to?
Sorry. That was really, that felt horrible. Oh God, I've written down loads down here, and I can't be bothered to say it all. Birmingham talk, I forgot that I can't drive in the dark, so that was really awkward getting there. And then I got confused and drove down a road that only buses can go down, and got a bit stuck and had to go the other way. And then when I was coming out of the car park, I was looking for the exit, right? And I saw a sign that said exit only. So I drove down there, and some man was going mental at me saying, it's one way, it's exit only. And I said, yeah, it's the only way I can get out of the car park. And he was like, no, it means that it's only an exit. You can't enter it. And I was entering it. How confusing is that, though? Exit only? I thought that's the only way you can exit this car park, obviously. Anyway, I forgot that I'm intolerant to mushrooms. And then I remembered while I was eating them and said I shouldn't eat all these. And then I forgot again after I'd eaten them all. And I wondered why my stomach was so sore and bloated. And oh my God, my trumpet stank. I forgot my pole lesson, and then I was hysterical because I really like going to pole. And then I went to another pole lesson, the one where I fucked my shoulder and I've ruined everything. And I took James's car, and I left his car keys on the passenger seat and left the car unlocked for the whole of the pole lesson. And then came out and was like, where are the keys? Oh, they're here in the open brand new car. So sorry about that, James. And I keep forgetting to put my estrogen and testosterone on, which isn't helping with life in general. Go on, James.
I was about to say, if my insurers happen to be listening, that definitely doesn't happen on a regular basis. And you definitely can't just steal the car by sitting in it. There's not even a start button. Just sit in it with the keys are in there and drive away.
Oh, no. You're no longer insured.
What the hell was that?
I saw the smile. I saw the smile on Alex's face before he did that, and I could see the thought process of him. It was enjoying it
in full mind-wandering mode. It was competing hard with the idea of Sam mushroom trumpeting, and not just because that's ridiculous, because the trumpet mushroom is a form of mushroom. And all of those thoughts.
Oh, I'd be intolerant to that as well. Alex.
Yeah.
Well done.
What?
I know, yeah. I'm a pro now. Go!
Your answer, Al. Your answer.
All right, James. What have you been doing this week?
I've done mine, Sam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alex. Croquet.
Once again, the thin veneer of professionality disappears. Just the slightest little rub. Ding.
So what I was doing editorially was I was leaving a gap.
Don't
you
leave gaps.
You did such a long answer. Then I was going to do a gap and then use a one-word foolish answer, albeit true, which was croquet. But just before I said it, you said, "Come on, say something, James, say something." So the comedic element was gone, but the professionalism.
I don't think it was ever there, Alex.
I think well, the problem is it must have been Sam, because you always unknowingly zero in on anything that's meant to be a joke and destroy it. You're a joke-seeking missile.
Thanks for that, both. We're going to take a break and we'll come back in part 2 with questions and thoughts from the ADHD Adult UK community.
Alex, hi.
Aight. What's up? Hello, Governor. Jesus already.
Welcome back to episode 109 of the ADHD Adults podcast. As always, in these Thursday nonsenses, in part 2, we're taking questions from the community. Whether you contact us on Discord, James, or the Twitters, Instagrams, Facebook, the other ones, we're at the ADHD Adults.
Was that Spacebook?
Spacebook. I don't know the names of them.
Space.
My time. James, we have one question each, and there's 2 questions here. There's 2 questions. Yeah. And I notice you've just added one of them, which I'm going to read out because you make me. But this is what it says. It's from Corbyn's Bum. It says, "Hi, first-time caller, long-time listener. Is there any truth in the room that Alex is exiled to Russia because no country in the EU saw a purpose for a second moon?"
I wish he was
And-
exiled to Russia.
And I'm very popular in Russia. And when he's filling in for
There
James
you are.
Talks that James never mentions, he has to be smuggled into the country in the colon of a Moscow circus elephant. You've added that, have you? You thought that was appropriate, did you, James? To
Listen, we get
I
we
think
get
it's
sent a lot.
appropriate.
We get sent a
Sorry.
lot of questions, and people want answers, Alex. And I think in this case, it sounds like you're trying to evade giving an answer. So I have to hold you to account here. So come on.
Well, yes, answer. First, let me say it's very difficult being the Home Secretary. I'm committed to doing the job of the Home Secretary. Whether I interfered with the speeding course or not is neither here nor there. I'm reading another question, a proper question, which is tricky, actually, tricky one. It's from JJJ, which I like. If one has trauma-induced ADHD or traits of ADHD, would resolving that trauma cure the ADHD or traits of ADHD? Or is the triggering of the ADHD or ADHD-like traits permanent activation? If it could cure it, how would one go about resolving trauma to that extent? Are there approaches that have been developed with resolving trauma with an ADHD focus? Would ADHD medication still work for trauma-induced ADHD or ADHD traits? Maybe I should read one of Gabor Mate's books for an answer to this. That's a really good one. It's such a good question. James, do you want to start?
Thanks for that, Al. Yeah, what I would say is, I think we tried to ham-fistedly cover this in the episode on trauma, is that there is evidence clearly that trauma can be the environmental trigger for ADHD. And we've had quite a few people get in touch. I think people who probably have had trauma and again have that, that lived experience that makes them feel like that very much caused their ADHD, and even questioning that there's any evidence for genetics, which there's absolutely loads of it. If trauma was a trigger for ADHD, and ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder in which the brain has developed differently, if we're accepting those two facts, then resolving the trauma would probably unlikely resolve the ADHD because the brain has developed differently. It may be that it could have an impact on some of the symptoms which are shared between trauma and ADHD. But if trauma happened in those first 6 years of life, while the brain is at the earliest stages of development and cause that neurodevelopmental difference and delay, then I don't think that resolving the trauma would cure it. The ADHD medication is interesting because we know if you give ADHD medication to non-ADHD groups, it can resolve some symptoms. So this has been tried in the menopause. If you give methylphenidate to women who are menopausal, who don't have ADHD, it resolves some of the symptoms of menopause, which look a bit like ADHD. So again, it's possible if it is a case of trauma that's presenting with ADHD-like symptoms that it could work. But obviously, it's hard enough, as we know, getting ADHD medication if you've got ADHD.
James, so important to say they're two different things.
Yeah.
Trauma response that has similar to ADHD-like symptoms is very, very common response to trauma, and that isn't the same as trauma-induced ADHD. That's a neurodevelopmental thing where trauma was the environmental trigger for.
Sorry, I misread the question.
Yeah, no, you were right. Everything you said was absolutely right.
Yeah,
100% correct. And no, it won't resolve trauma-induced ADHD. But dealing with trauma is a good idea in general.
But would it resolve ADHD-like symptoms that come from trauma?
It depends. It depends on how effective it is as an intervention, CBT, medication, and it depends. It's a very, very, very individualistic thing. But yeah, if you have ADHD-like symptoms as a result of trauma, please go and get some support from your doctor, from a therapist, from someone, because that's really, really important. And just a dead quick, boring caveat: people describe trauma differently. The American Psychological Association describe it differently from Mind, for example, who describe differently from a lot of people. So the APA, the American group, would say that it's an emotional response to a terrible event. The Mind would say it's a serious event, so difficult experiences or adverse childhood experiences, for example. Whereas some people would argue that, if you got jumped at by a dog, which many people wouldn't find traumatic, but you did, it might scar you for life, and that to you was a trauma, but not to other people. But they are three different things. And if we're describing that last one as a trauma that could trigger ADHD, then we need a word for the other things.
Yeah, and
that's why I
they're
think
all just one event, whereas you've got more complex trauma as well, haven't you?
you have, and actually the
they're all-
number of what they call adverse childhood experiences, ACEs, is a fundamental and iterative process that can cause manifold problems, and they're not apart. It's so complex, but we've got to agree that there are different words for different things, and that's an issue, I think. Go on, James.
Sorry,
What you've
just
lost it completely.
Sam,
Really
so
inappropriate
just
time.
Sam repeating the word manifold repeatedly, I thought was funny. Manifold, just because she likes the sound of it.
Sorry, I didn't realise I was
And
doing that.
I was laughing earlier because just as Alex was reaching the crescendo of his answer, Sam blurted something out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was glorious. Sam, is there anything you would like to add to that answer which you haven't done already, or shall we move on?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I know enough to
Right.
add anything.
People want to write in and tell me manifold is supposed to be more of a mathematical thing. I was using it as a metaphor.
Oh God, who cares?
I will get a lot of emails.
As if you will. You won't answer them anyway.
Thanks. I'm busy with my croquet, Sam. Leave me alone.
Fucking croquet, James.
Very. Yeah. Second question from Mr. Glenn: are we more predisposed to struggle with cognitive dissonance, do you think? Which means we're more likely to struggle setting new routines and behavior patterns. Alex?
Are you at the back? Yes, Glenn. Yes, we are. There's lots of different ways to describe cognitive dissonance. We're going to do a whole episode on it because you can think two different thoughts that are opposing at the same time. A belief in, the literal word of the Bible and knowing that evolution is real can be described in that way. Or cognitive dissonance can be acting in a way where your behavior or your action isn't in line with your values. So, doing drugs when you've got ADHD and not wanting to, or not thinking that some people don't, James, that's the right thing to do, or smoking, or is also a form. And there's lots of different ways it can. Some of them are sort of forced on you by your employer or parents or whatever. Some of it's more internal, and that is definitely linked to ADHD. We will do an episode on it, Mr. Glenn. Yes.
Fab. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to add anything, James?
Well, yeah, no, I was just going to add that we've talked about this, the in a jokey way, the cognitive dissonance, where we often have imposter syndrome and feel that we're not good at our jobs and not clever enough to keep our jobs, but we also often think that we're clever enough to trick a medical profession with 15 years of psychiatric experience into giving us an ADHD diagnosis.
Where did you get that from?
Is that a joke? Do you know what a joke is?
It's not.
Sam?
Yeah,
it's not a riddle.
Anyway, question 3.
I also like how in a podcast where we write jokes for each other and deliberately don't take credit for them, that Sam immediately had to point out the fact that was something which she had uttered. Amazing.
It's the only joke I've ever done.
Oh, I mean, that's not true. It wasn't a joke.
No, it wasn't really a joke. Anyway, question 3. A question for Alex and James. It's nothing to do with me, this one.
Good.
Even though I know the answer, but it's for you two. Listening to today's podcast, and say, for instance, you're on the NHS waiting list, but then you move areas before being seen by your local ADHD NHS service. I know you have to start the process again. Is this also the case if you go through NHS Right to Choose? James?
Answer it then if you fucking know.
Yeah.
Show off.
I'm not allowed
to. You are allowed to. What do you mean you're not? Do you mean you're not allowed to?
Oh, sorry, and that's from Complex Cub. I didn't read their name out. Because my brother has recently moved and he asked for Right to Choose, but they referred him to a local service. If he'd got referred to Right to Choose, he wouldn't have to go through it all again. But he got referred to his local service, and now he's got to get referred again. But yeah, Right to Choose, it doesn't matter. You can take that with you.
As long as it's in England, because it's an NHS England thing. But yeah, I think this is really important because post Panorama, obviously commissioning groups, the bodies that pay for your NHS treatment, although we all pay for it through taxes, the groups that decide what gets spent where, are clearly having conversations about ADHD assessments from qualified providers, the independent clinics that offer assessments with NHS contracts through Right to Choose. And we know, we've talked about York in the past, about how up there they've now set up this single point of access where you have to meet 3 incredibly ridiculous criteria to be referred to their local services, like your immediate risk of self-harm, immediate risk of getting jailed, etc. But they cannot restrict Right to Choose or delay Right to Choose referrals. So yeah, if you move areas within England, that referral is still valid. But yeah, if you've been referred to the local services and you're outside that area, see what Alex has put in the script.
What? No,
just now, then yeah, you probably would need to be referred to an area, a service within your new area.
Thanks for that. It was boring.
Bastard.
We're going to take a break in part 3. Thoughts on this week's theme and podcast, which was, as you well know, James, childhood trauma and ADHD.
No, it wasn't. It was alexithymia. For fuck's sake.
I mean, it says it right there on the script. What is wrong with me? I think we know.
Song trumpet.
Welcome back to episode 100. What? 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to episode 109 of the ADHD Adults podcast. This is part 3, where we'll give our personal thoughts and
expand upon
the things what we didn't say last time. James, what made you choose the last idea for a theme?
I'm sure if you go back to, I suppose, this relative stage of Gabby Logan's career, she probably was about as professional as Samantha was in that introduction there, because you learn your craft, don't you? And she's got, and she has got better, obviously, because they used to be even worse than this. Their introductions.
They were worse than that.
Yeah. Which is hard to believe. But anyway, yes, thank you for asking that question, Sam. What made me or us choose the theme? Actually, Sam and I had a very long conversation. I mean, it was very long, whilst not being entirely sober. And Sam did most of the talking. I can't imagine anyone not understanding that that's the situation in our house. And she was reading lots of stuff out to me about alexithymia. And it's just made me realize and really look into it. Not that I just looked into it because obviously I'd known about it for years.
Yeah,
and
years,
but even before I knew what ADHD was. And I just thought, yeah, actually, that's something I really do struggle with, being able to. And I keep a fucking mood diary because of my bipolar. And some days I do just go 5, because I don't know, unless I'm climbing off the walls, trying to score drugs, fight people, hypomanic, or sitting in the back garden smoking, thinking the darkest thoughts. The bits in the middle, I don't know what that is and how to describe it. Alex.
I chose alexithymia because it's got my name in it. That's it. No other reason than that. It's not true. It's a form of metacognition, isn't it? Really, I think that's probably a fair thing to say, and that's increasingly problematic, I think, for people with ADHD. So always worth a shout. Sam, say it.
I have no editorial rights on this podcast. I did not choose the theme. However, I did talk at James for quite some time about it, and several people asked for it on the sheet. The sheet, Alex, that episodes that people ask for. No. Yes. So was there any thought or tip from the theme that you forgot to say, Alex?
Yeah, no, I've written in the script, which is to remember that everything is temporary. I've written here, whatever you're going through now will end and be replaced with some other bullshit. It's exhausting. Tired.
Is that left over from a previous one?
I think it's just, that's a Panorama response.
You've not finished. Yeah,
so
thank you.
That's nothing to do with the theme.
Yeah, no, there wasn't.
Okay,
I don't
James.
think there was.
She's really taken control of part 3, isn't she?
Yeah, that's
a
what
bit
someone
like
professional-
that. A bit like that. The evil little woman from Harry Potter, who was from the Ministry of Magic or whatever it was. Look at her face. Look at her face.
I don't know
No
what
idea.
that is.
I don't
No.
know what that is. I was thinking she's more like hell. I can't do that. Joel.
Hell.
Hal from God, these popular culture
Oh,
references.
Hal.
Yes.
You said hell.
Anyway. Yes. Tip or theme? No. But what's interesting is obviously we get some correspondence after episodes. Quite a lot of people actually went, "Oh my God, I obviously didn't know this was the thing." Not like me, because I'd known for ages. But it was interesting that lots of people talked about how much it affected them, the particularly in again in relationships and in trying to understand in a workplace environment if someone's angry, happy, cross. I think it's really interesting. That's something that I've known about for years, but obviously many people haven't. Clearly, it impacts a lot of us. I mean, the statistic we talked about in the episode was like nearly 50%, and if you look in autism, it's 50%. So it does suggest it's a big issue. Sam, any other thoughts or tips?
I can't remember what I said last time, but I was saying to Mama Chameleon on Discord that I feel I'm much better able to work out how other people are feeling than how I'm feeling, because I overanalyze everything that other people do to try and work out what they're feeling and what they mean by what they're saying. So I don't know if that's what.
How do you know that's accurate?
I don't know if it's accurate, but I feel it's true.
Oh, I see.
Because I feel like I spend so long trying to work out what do they mean and what are they saying, because it's a bit difficult for me to work that out, that I feel I understand what they're saying more than I understand what I'm saying. But it might be completely untrue because I might not be reading them correctly.
This
And
is
often
that
don't.
sympathy versus empathy thing again, isn't it? Is always assuming like, and looking through a positive lens or a negative lens can make you interpret events entirely differently. Very,
Yes,
very true.
that's
One
true.
thing I've been told this week was that a couple of people contacted me to say that they draw a picture of it if they can't do numbers or if they can't say it in words. They draw a picture of how they're feeling, and that works for them. And I really like the idea. I'm a shit drawer though.
Yeah,
But
I
think
couldn't
could
draw.
imagine.
I don't know how to draw a feeling. Can you even draw it? You can't make a cider out of it.
We know someone that's very good at drawing, don't we? Tom's son that sent us that picture, which we
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
shared on
Oh.
social media yet.
Piss off.
And then, so Tom came to one of our talks, and their son had drawn a lovely picture, but Tom apologized that Alex's head was too small, and then he went away and edited it and sent it back with an appropriate sized spherical head
Yeah,
for Alex.
Thank you,
What
Tom.
I loved about that as well was that when we said, "Oh, that's a really good picture," and with no hint of irony, and this was really lovely, he went, "It's not even a best work. I only gave her like minutes to do that." I was like, "That is so lovely."
Was it a
It's
daughter,
really
not a
lovely.
son? I've been saying son.
Daughter.
Was it? Okay, apologies,
Yeah.
Tom's daughter.
Oh, it might not be, but I
Oh,
think
Jesus
it was.
Christ.
Anyway,
Okay.
if this impacts you now, hopefully having a name for it will make it easier to tell people that you find it difficult to explain or even know what you're feeling. I know that it helps me because now James knows why when he's asking me what I'm feeling, I don't know. And now I know that he's got a similar thing. So sometimes us talking things out can be really difficult because we don't know. It's just like strong emotions. I just don't really know what's happening or what I'm feeling. So that really helps. And it'll help me going to the GP as well when I say, I know I always describe things weirdly, but this is why. Sorry.
No, I was about to say I'm regretting getting you. So we've Alex and I chatted about this, and we've decided she's probably not going away, Mrs ADHD. So we bought her the same quality microphone that we've got because she was using an inferior quality one before. And I'm kind of regretting that because Jesus Christ, your voice is loud and pierces into my ears. Yeah, it's just, well, you know,
I don't think.
who you telling Butte? You know, it's something that you are known for. Anyway, Jesus Christ, just to push things forward. Alex, I suppose, was there any? See, fucking shushing me.
He likes it. That was episode 109 of the ADHD Adults podcast, and it was the very first Thursday extra edition of the ADHD Adults podcast that was specifically after Monday's episode on this and that.
Nope.
Alexithymia. You'd think I'd know. Oh, you like that nonsense? and want to get involved, please do contact us on the socials, on Discord, FaceTime, Space, Instagram and Twitter at the ADHD Adults, of course, Discord. Have a lovely weekend. Byes.
Bye.
Trigger warning klaxon. Klaxon, 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 big klaxon. Trigger warning klaxon. Klaxon, klaxon, klaxon.